Have you ever booked a winter trip expecting sunshine, charm, and that perfect escape, only to end up freezing in crowded streets, paying way too much, and wondering why it looked so much better online? It happens to more people than you think. Because when winter comes, most travelers make the same mistake. They go to the most famous cities, assume the experience will match the photos, and end up with grey skies, inflated prices, and a trip that feels far less magical than they imagined. And the frustrating part is, Europe in winter is not the problem. The real problem is that most people are choosing the wrong places. Because while everyone else is squeezing into the same cold, overpriced hotspots, there are cities in Europe that stay surprisingly warm, feel more relaxed, and cost far less than most travelers expect. Places where winter still feels bright, enjoyable, and actually worth the money. And most people overlook them completely. So in this video, we're counting down 10 warm European cities you can visit in winter without destroying your budget. And once you see what's waiting at number 1, you might completely rethink where a winter getaway should take you. Coming in at number 10 is Athens, Greece. And honestly, this is where the list starts catching people off guard. Most travelers only picture Athens in peak summer, busy streets, intense heat, crowded landmarks, and a stop that feels more exhausting than relaxing. But winter changes the city in a way most people never expect. The crowds ease up, the pace feels lighter, and suddenly Athens becomes a place you can actually enjoy instead of just trying to survive. You can wander through historic neighborhoods in mild weather, sit outside at a cafe in the middle of January, and experience places like the Acropolis with a sense of calm that summer rarely gives you. And when you add in lower hotel prices and cheaper flights, it starts to feel like you're seeing a smarter, more enjoyable version of one of Europe's most famous cities. At number 9 is Fuerteventura, Canary Islands, a place that can make winter feel like a complete illusion. While most people are stuck with freezing mornings and dull grey skies, this island feels bright, open, and almost unreal by comparison. You get long stretches of beach, golden dunes, sunshine that still feels warm, and that immediate sense of relief that hits the moment you step outside. But what really makes Fuerteventura stand out is the feeling it gives you. More space, less pressure, slower days, and the kind of peaceful atmosphere that makes you forget you came here in the middle of winter. And when a place that looks this relaxing can still be surprisingly affordable compared to other winter escapes, it creates a very simple question in the viewer's mind. Why do so many people keep choosing crowded, overpriced cold weather trips when places like this are sitting right here in Europe? At number 8 is Nice, France. And this is where the list starts to feel a little unfair in the best way. Because when most people hear French Riviera, they immediately assume one thing: expensive. They picture luxury hotels, summer crowds, flashy beach clubs, and a destination that looks amazing online but feels out of reach in real life. But winter changes that picture completely. The coastline still looks beautiful, the weather stays relatively mild, and suddenly Nice feels less like a luxury fantasy and more like a place you can actually enjoy. You can walk along the promenade without being swallowed by crowds, sit at a cafe with the sea right in front of you, and explore the old town at a pace that actually feels calm. And once hotel prices start dropping from summer highs, the whole city becomes much more accessible than most travelers ever expect. It's one of those rare places that still feels elegant in winter, but no longer feels untouchable. But if Nice gives you a more relaxed version of glamour, number 7 gives you something even more satisfying. A place that feels warm, historic, and unexpectedly affordable all at the same time. At number 7 is Valletta, Malta. And this is the kind of place that makes winter feel like it's happening somewhere else. From the moment you arrive, everything feels sunlit, textured, and full of character. The golden buildings, the sea views, The narrow streets, the old fortresses, the quiet corners, it all feels cinematic without trying too hard. And because winter is less crowded, Valletta becomes even more enjoyable. You're not just passing through beautiful places for a few seconds before the next tourist photo. You actually get to slow down and feel the city. What makes it even better is that Malta can give you all of this without the kind of prices people usually expect from a Mediterranean escape. With affordable stays, cheap transport, and food that stays reasonable, Valletta feels like the kind of destination people ignore for far too long, and then instantly wish they had discovered sooner. And the craziest part is, we're still only at number 7, because the cities ahead feel even warmer, even more rewarding, and even harder to overlook. At number 6 is Paphos, Cyprus, and this is where winter starts feeling almost optional. If your idea of the season involves grey skies, heavy jackets, and counting down the days until warmth comes back, Paphos feels like a direct escape from all of that. Cyprus is one of the warmest places in Europe during winter, and Paphos gives you that rare mix of sunshine, sea views, ancient history, and a pace that feels instantly lighter. You can walk along the coast in mild weather, explore ruins that are thousands of years old, and then sit outside for dinner while people back home are still buried under layers. That contrast is what makes it feel so satisfying. It doesn't just look warm compared to winter. It feels like you've stepped into a completely different version of the season. And when you realize it can still be surprisingly affordable in the cooler months, Paphos starts to feel less like a travel idea and more like a winter loophole. But if that sounds tempting, number 5 raises the emotional payoff even higher. At number 5 is the Algarve, Portugal, and this place feels less like a destination and more like a reset button. In summer, people see the crowds, the packed beaches, and the usual vacation chaos. But in winter, the Algarve becomes something else entirely. The cliffs feel more dramatic, the beaches feel more peaceful, the towns feel more personal, and the whole region gives off this calm, open feeling that is hard to explain until you experience it. You can drive along the coast with no pressure, stop in quiet seaside towns, eat fresh seafood without peak season prices, and enjoy the kind of scenery that makes your mind slow down for the first time in weeks. And that's what makes the Algarve so powerful in winter. It's not just warm, it gives you room to breathe. And now we're entering the top 4, where these places stop feeling like good winter trips and start feeling like the kind of destinations people remember for years. At number 4 is Seville, Spain, and this is the kind of city that reminds you winter does not have to feel dull. While so much of Europe turns cold, grey, and quiet, Seville still feels warm, vibrant, and full of life. The sunlight, the orange trees, the outdoor cafes, the sound of people filling the streets late into the day, it creates the kind of atmosphere that makes you want to keep walking just to see what the next corner feels like. And that's what makes Seville so special in winter. Instead of fighting extreme summer heat or pushing through heavy crowds, you get the city at a pace that actually lets you enjoy it. You can explore palaces, courtyards, and old plazas in comfortable weather, sit outside without rushing, and feel that rare balance of beauty and ease that so many trips promise but do not always deliver. At number 3 is Tenerife, Canary Islands. And this is where the countdown stops feeling like mild winter relief and starts feeling like an actual seasonal escape. Because Tenerife doesn't just stay pleasant in winter, it can feel genuinely warm while much of Europe is still stuck in the cold. You get beaches, palm trees, volcanic terrain, mountain views, and bright sunshine that completely changes your mood the second you arrive. And what makes Tenerife so powerful is that it never feels one-dimensional. One day can be slow and relaxing by the sea, and the next can feel dramatic and adventurous as you move through landscapes that look nothing like the coast. That range is what makes it so easy to imagine yourself there. It's not just warm, it feels expansive. And because Tenerife has been built around year-round travel, it gives people something even better: options. Whether you want a simple, affordable stay or something more polished and resort-like, the island makes that flexibility feel easy. And when you combine that with weather this inviting in the middle of winter, it becomes very obvious why Tenerife is this high on the list. But somehow, there are still 2 places left that feel even more convincing. At number 2 is Madeira, Portugal. And honestly, this is the point where the list stops feeling like a collection of smart travel ideas and starts feeling like something much harder to ignore. Because Madeira doesn't just give you warmer weather in winter, it gives you a completely different state of mind. The air feels fresher, the landscapes feel bigger, the pace feels lighter, and somehow everything around you makes normal winter life feel very far away. You wake up to sunshine, ocean views, and mountains that rise above the clouds, and almost immediately the whole trip starts to feel different from anything most people expect from Europe in winter. One moment you're wandering through the streets of Funchal surrounded by colour and life, and the next you're standing on a cliffside viewpoint looking out over the Atlantic, wondering how a place this dramatic still feels so peaceful. And that's what makes Madeira so powerful. It's not just a beach escape, and it's not just a nature destination. It gives you beauty, adventure, calm, and that rare feeling of actually being happy you chose to travel in winter. You can hike unforgettable trails, eat amazing local food, explore towns that feel relaxed instead of overcrowded, and still find prices that feel more reasonable than people expect for a place this impressive. And at number 1 is Gran Canaria, Spain. The place that makes a lot of winter trips suddenly feel like a bad compromise. Because while other destinations on this list give you mild weather or a few warm afternoons, Gran Canaria can give you something that feels much closer to an actual escape. In the middle of winter, when so many people are stuck with cold mornings, grey skies, and the same heavy routine, this island can feel bright, open, and almost unfair by comparison. You're not just getting a break from winter, you're getting the kind of weather that lets you live differently for a while. Beaches, palm trees, outdoor cafes, long sunny days, and that simple feeling of stepping outside without bracing yourself against the cold. But what truly puts Gran Canaria above the rest is how much variety it gives you without losing that sense of ease. You can spend one part of the trip relaxing by the sea, another driving through mountain villages, another exploring volcanic landscapes that feel nothing like the coast, and somehow it all fits together on one island. That's what makes it so hard to beat. It doesn't feel like one-note winter sun. It feels like multiple trips in one. And that's why it takes the top spot, because more than any other place on this list, Gran Canaria doesn't just make winter easier to handle, it makes it feel completely irrelevant.